to the World of Wrestling podcast. Here today to discuss about WWE Raw, April 20th, 2026. So I guess tonight Trips decided to actually produce a good show. Apparently TKO must have lit a fire under his ass or something. I don't know. But yeah, I honestly thought that tonight um wasn't bad. It actually was a good show. Better than Monday Night. Better than Monday Night Raw. Better than WrestleMania itself. I really have to say that this show was a lot of fun to sit through. I enjoyed myself, and they told some really good stories tonight. There was actually good wrestling, which is mind-boggling, right? Wrestling, holy fuck! Actually, that. Um, But yeah, I thought tonight was fairly decent. Um, there wasn't, you know, there wasn't like 10-minute matches, 5-7 minute matches. We got at least 10 to 15 minutes on a Monday Night Raw. The matches were longer on Monday Night Raw than they were at WrestleMania. The total fucking insanity, honestly. Um, what else? Jacob Fatu, next guy in line for the World Heavyweight Championship against Roman Reigns. Um, I thought this was interesting. I am actually very intrigued and wouldn't be against the idea of Jacob Fatu being the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns right out of the gate. Um, Honestly, we all know that Roman Reigns is not a guy that's going to be there all the time. This would be a great opportunity to actually put him in the position to win the world title and dethrone Roman Reigns right out of the gate. But I probably am crazy for saying that because honestly, I highly doubt they're going to do that right out of the gate. I'm fine with Jacob Fatu not being the champion and Roman Reigns staying champion all the way till SummerSlam. Um, Lone Wolf Daniel 23, what's up, man? I actually, hold on. I'm actually interested in the Fatu Roman feud, despite the fact that I just don't care right now about WWE stuff at the moment. Yeah, I don't blame you, Lone Wolf. I don't blame you one bit. I think that WWE as a whole has been an absolute travesty and has sucked ass beyond belief. Um, but it is what it is, you know. Uh, Tonight was a good Raw. I have no complaints about Monday Night Raw, honestly. I think they did a fantastic job doing what they had to do to get this show over with. At least it wasn't as bad as the Raw after Mania from WrestleMania 29 3 years ago. That was a absolute fucking dreadful fucking Raw. I mean, that was fucking terrible. But let's get into it. Quite a few things happened here tonight. Thank goodness Trips wasn't smoking the joint or smoking on the crack pipe. And by the way, anyone that thought this show sucked, you weren't smoking the weed. You were on crack. You ought to put the pipe down. It's bad for your health. Uh, but yeah, I have really not a whole lot of complaints about this episode. A lot of NXT call ups. Ethan Page wrestled tonight. Got a debut match with Javon Evans, and they crushed it. I wasn't. I'm not too happy Javon Evans lost by any means, but at least. Sorry, I was checking out the score on the Knicks game, how that was going, because I was watching that while I was watching Monday Night Raw tonight. Um, We had Soruka against Liv Morgan, which actually was better than Stephanie Vacour and Liv Morgan at WrestleMania. Pretty sad, huh? That felt more like a WrestleMania match than Stephanie Vacour's World Championship match against Liv Morgan. Pretty fucking pathetic. We had Braun Breaker cutting a promo, getting over on Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins made his return as well, and he attacked the entire Vision. So, I mean, we had some interesting shit happen here tonight. Oba Femi started the show off. He struts his way down to the ring. Femi's not dressed to compete tonight. And Femi looks around before raising the microphone to his mouth, and he cuts off by an Oba Femi chant. And then Femi says, "The ruler has arrived." Interesting. So, yeah. Definitely not a whole lot to say. Just kept it short and sweet and got to the point. Lone Wolf says, I was disappointed with Cody retaining the championship. Let's face it, the entire build for his Mania match with Orton was so fucking dumb to begin with. Oba winning was the right decision for once. I would agree with you, Lone Wolf, but here's the thing. If Brock wouldn't have retired, I think that would have been terrible. Because on my channel, I don't know if you've been following my videos and my reviews consistently. I haven't seen you leave comments as of late like you used to. But what I've been stating leading up to WrestleMania was if Oba Femi was to lose, if he was to, my whole attitude was that Oba Femi loses with a dominant performance against Brock Lesnar where Brock would snap Oba Femi's arm from a Kimura lock and break his arm. And then we would have Oba Femi return from injury, same as Brock, and Brock would then end up having a rematch with Oba Femi at SummerSlam in an I Quit match. That's the direction I would have gone, and then have Brock say I quit at SummerSlam in his last match in his hometown. That's what I would have done if they were going to continue this beyond WrestleMania. But they went with Oba Femi to win. Brock retired, and that is the way it should be. Whoever he was going to lose to, that's how he should have went out. He should have been losing only one match, not losing multiple matches going into his retirement match. That's absolutely absurd and retarded. And by doing this, I was totally down for it. I thought it was the right move, and I think they did the right thing here by booking Oba Femi to win and then Brock just retiring right after the loss. That's how I felt about that. But overall, it was a matchup. I'd say I think they did what they had to do to get the job done for Oba Femi. So I don't have too much to complain about there. And then the retirement was the right move to go right after the loss. Next, we had Asuka says Io Sky has once again chosen her fake family over her real one. Asuka will always be Sky's Simpa, basically her mentor. How has it been working out since she's devoted herself to Rhea Ripley? Ripley is a champion and Sky is nothing. If she had shown Asuka respect, she could have continued to be her mentor. She even tried to corrupt Kairi Sane. Zayn says that she beat Sky last week. This week they'll beat them together. And Asuka says no one is ready for her. Oh wow. Interesting stuff right there. Next we had the tag team match with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley against the Kabuki Warriors. Obviously, we know who is going to win. The Kabuki Warriors end up losing this matchup. And that was pretty much that. Lone Wolf says that, to be fair, it did look like Brock was going to retire after the match. Bringing him back for no reason would be such a Triple H thing to do, like booking Becky to win another title for no reason. Well, honestly, Lone Wolf, I think that AJ Lee having the Intercontinental Championship would have been kind of pointless to have her as the champ. So the title needed to go back to her. Not to mention, Becky needed to get the one win she has not gotten from AJ Lee out of this entire rivalry. So it was the right move to go. Uh, do we need to find someone to replace Becky for the IC Championship? Absolutely. I think they need to do that right away. I don't think she needs to hold on to the title throughout the entire summer. I think we need to find someone like a Ruka or someone of that level. Io Sky beating Becky Lynch would be interesting. Bailey beating Becky Lynch would be interesting. Uh, Lyra Valkyria, no, they've already went in that direction. Let's not rinse and repeat the same old shit. So I'd have to say that probably the best direction to go is just find someone new and fresh that hasn't held the IC championship before. Um, those lists of three people would be the best direction to go with, in my opinion. Anyway, following that match being over with, Io Sky and Rhea Ripley end up winning that tag team match. Not a bad match. They gave them, I think, about 10 to 12 minutes, which isn't bad. A lot more than what the women have gotten on this fucking card for WrestleMania this past weekend. Let me tell you. Next, we had Adam Pearce giving props to WWE Champion or WWE IC Champion Penta. Javon Evans walks up and says he's going to be the champion. He was going to be champion yesterday, but he's not going anywhere. Penta says they stole the show last night. Bullshit. His title isn't going anywhere because he's Penta. Cero Meadow, Ethan Page, Raw's newest superstar, walks up and Page says he's always gets what he wants. The IC Championship. Page won't need a second chance, unlike Evans. Pearce says they can settle, and Evans says no one is taking his spot. Well, apparently, someone took your fucking spot, pal. Anyway, they show a bruised and battered CM Punk walking backstage. He goes through the gorilla position and walks out onto the stage without music. Punk stands there and looks around. There are some boos for him. Punk kneels down and shouts, "It's clobbering time," and Punk's music hits. And he makes his way out to the ring. CM Punk then stands in the ring and he's been dealing with a lot of loss since October. While in Japan, his friend and MMA trainer Duke Rufus didn't wake up. Then in November, his dog Larry crossed the Rainbow Bridge. It seems like every 2 weeks the WWE family has lost important people like Kerwin Siflis and others. Punk puts over everyone behind the scenes, calling them the real superstars behind the men. On April 1st, his friend Bo Lutters passed away. Punk also lost last night. The losses sting more than losing his title. The people have helped him heal and get through the losses. Being the heavyweight champion gave him an anchor and a reason not to slow down. Rather than being reduced to a puddle of tears, Punk thanks the crowd for helping him process the grief. They helped him get through the losses. They'll help him get through his loss from last night as well. Okay, great. Punk then says he wasn't even supposed to be World Heavyweight Champion. Punk survived Gunther and was cashed in on by Seth Rollins. I was expecting at that point Seth Rollins was going to pop his ugly head, but none of that happened, so okay. Punk thought it was bad to be a champion for 3 minutes at 46 years old, and Punk could have stopped, but he stayed ready. Punk poured his heart out and soul into this and entertain the people because he stayed ready. An opportunity arose. Uh, Rollins got hurt and Punk won number one contenders match. If Punk didn't stay ready, they'd be eating with Jey Uso. The crowd boos Uso's name, and Punk stays ready because he doesn't know when a championship opportunity will fall out of the sky. Punk is still the best in the world and the baddest ass, or the badass of WWE. Punk gave everything he had, but it wasn't his night. Punk isn't going to sulk or go on vacation or anything. Punk will stay ready because you never know when a championship opportunity will fall out of the sky. Then out comes Cody Rhodes. He is fucked up beyond recognition, has a humongous black eye. The swelling on his eye thankfully went down, but at the same time, he didn't look so good. He had a couple of scratches above his eye where the swelling was at one point in time, and so forth. Rose shows up, a horrific black eye from his battle against Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Punk walks up to him, look at his bad eye, and Punk jokingly asks if he went over his time. Rhodes tells him not to leave. This is Monday Night Raw. It's Punk's time. Rhodes says he might be incorrect in this assumption, but he was standing by his peers. This wasn't what he was expecting. Punk asks if Rhodes thought he was going to crash out. Rhodes says he was expecting a freak out. Rhodes says he knows how Punk likes to handle things, but he's buttoned up. This is not what he was expecting, and Rhodes is glad the Vegas gave him the flowers he deserves. Rhodes says that he doesn't know what he's supposed to do. He's standing here looking like a loser. Punk asks if Rhodes thinks he should be feeling like a loser, and Punk says it's cool. They're friends. Punk doesn't feel like a loser, and Rhodes isn't either. On Saturday, Rhodes beat a first ballot Hall of Famer. Rhodes beat a friend and a mentor. Punk fought someone he hates. That's easy to stomp him on his stupid face and make fun of his sweet pepper necklace, his Ulufala. And Rhodes won and Punk lost. In a way, Punk says he's a loser. It's okay. The path is clear. Rhodes feels this way because heavy is the head that wears the crown. Punk is a free as a bird, and Punk loved being World Heavyweight Champion, but last night wasn't his night. So let me see here. Rhodes needs to keep being the champion. Punk just needs to be ready. Punk looks like looks at Rhodes Rhodes' title and says, "You never know when a championship opportunity is just going to fall out of the sky." Wink, wink. The crowd buzzes as Punk leaves the ring, and Rhodes says, "Hey Punk, just say when," and Punk smirks and he walks off. So, we got a little bit of a possible matchup between Punk and Cody Rhodes. Wouldn't it be wild if between the World Championship and the WWE Championship, we get Cody versus CM Punk for the WWE title, and then we get Roman and Jacob Fatu for the World Heavyweight title on the same fucking night at Backlash. Damn, that sounds like a better WrestleMania. That sounds like a better pay-per-view than WrestleMania was. Or was booked. This is already turning out to be a better build towards Backlash than WrestleMania had. This is pathetic. Honestly. This is pretty much fucking sad. But whatever. I'll take it. Shit, it's in my hometown, honestly. So I'll fucking take it. Let's see here. So let's move on here. We go to a vignette. Finn Balor says Dominic Mysterio brought out the Demon last night at WrestleMania. The Demon put Dom down. Balor isn't finished with the Judgment Day yet, and Mysterio drew first blood, so he's the first to fall. Balor expected that from Mysterio, but from the Judgment Day, not really. Balor remembers when McDonough was a 12-year-old in Ireland. Balor helped him grow into one of the greatest on earth. When he needed someone who he knew would have his back no matter what, it was always the Judgment Day. Then McDonough made a choice, Mysterio. This will be a full circle moment for McDonough. Balor got him into the business. Tonight he'll take him out of the business. Then we get All Ego, Ethan Page in his debut match with Javon Evans, and Ethan Page held his own with a bouncy Javon Evans. And this was a good matchup, man. Good televised matchup. And I have no reason to shit on it. These two did an excellent job together. Ethan Page ends up winning this matchup at the end of the day. And this was also, Rusev did come down. He tries to attack Javon Evans. Evans punches him away and dives on him. And then Page gets in the ring, and Evans gets in the ring and goes for a dive. But Page sweeps his feet, and Page hits Twisted Grin for the win. And Ethan Page picks up the victory. Good matchup. Very enjoyable matchup for a televised match. And I have no complaints here. So after the match, Rusev gets in the ring. He attacks Javon Evans. Rusev stomps Evans' spine and applies the accolade. Then Penta runs down to make the save. Penta kicks away at Rusev. Rusev blocks a kick, but Penta fires back with a super kick, and Penta goes to the top rope, but Page shoves him down, and Rusev hits Penta with a machaca kick, or a super kick. Page claps for Rusev from the apron, and Rusev then stomps his spine and applies the accolade as well. Rusev lets go and picks up the Intercontinental Championship. So apparently we might get a Penta versus Rusev match. I like this. We get a video package of the Hulk Hogan thing, documentary, which I'm actually interested in seeing how that goes and how that was. I'm pretty sure it turned out to be a good documentary. Next we hear from the Women's World Champion Liv Morgan. And Women's World Champion Liv Morgan makes her way to the ring alongside with Dominic Mysterio and the rest of the Judgment Day. Morgan walks around and listens to the crowd's reaction. She smiles as a "You deserve it" chant picks up. And Morgan says that is the smartest thing Las Vegas has said all day. Okay. They're now in the presence of the greatest women's world champion of all time. Whoop-de-fucky-do. Okay? Before we get to celebrating, she has a few people to thank. To her Judgment Day family, they have been her rock. She would not be where she is today without them, and that's a shoot. That is true. Secondly, this might surprise some people. She'd like to thank WrestleMania opponent Stephanie Vacour as well. They beat the hell out of each other, but Vacour reminded her of a feeling she hasn't felt in a long time. It reminded her of who she is. She is the most talented woman in WWE. This is her ring and division. This is her show, and this is her Women's World Championship. If they thought she was messy and trouble before, and then so Ruka comes out and interrupts her. Ruka apologizes for interrupting, but she's Been watching Morgan. Morgan's an inspiration to her. Seeing her in a title taught her, uh, seeing her in the title. Okay, the writer of WrestleView really needs to learn how to fucking write. In the title picture, taught her what she learned at the Battle Royal. Morgan is the top woman in this division. Ruka says that Morgan deserves this, and Morgan says she has some nerve interrupting her championship celebration, but she appreciates her kind words. Since Ruka was so nice to her, she'll say this as nicely as she can. You are no Liv Morgan, sweetie, and Morgan cackles or laughs. Morgan will give her a chance to save herself. If she wants to make it to WrestleMania next year, she'll better leave right now and leave her ring. Ruka says she isn't here for a fight, but she won't back down from one either. Next, Adam Pearce comes out and tells everyone to hold on. And Pearce says this is the biggest Raw of the year, and the crowd is acting like they want to see a fight. Pearce calls referee Jessica Carr to come out and call this match or referee this match, and Pearce asks if she can handle this for him, and Sol Ruca versus Liv Morgan takes place in a non-title match. This matchup between Liv Morgan and Sol Ruca was the best match of the night, folks. This was a really entertaining matchup. I had a lot of fun sitting here watching these two women go at it. Sol Ruca is one of the best. She reminds me of Javon Evans for the women's division. Honestly. This was some really good fucking shit between these two ladies. If you did not watch this matchup or you missed Monday Night Raw, this is definitely something to go back and watch. This was a WrestleMania quality matchup between these two ladies. No fucking joke. Better than what Stephanie Vacour and Liv Morgan could tell. But the problem is, probably would have been a good match had they given them the opportunity to actually produce a match that went longer than fucking 7 to 9 minutes. But obviously, WWE and TKO are fucking morons, so there you go. But yeah, this match was awesome. Liv Morgan ends up winning this matchup. Sol Ruca's opponent that she's facing tomorrow night attacked her, Zyra, from NXT. And, yeah, it made a lot of sense for them to do that in this spot. And, Zyra helped Liv Morgan beat Sol Ruca, and she ends up winning this matchup, as she should have. And after the match was over, she was celebrating, went up the aisle, and Stephanie Vacour came out and had a stare down with Liv Morgan, which I honestly don't think this is over. I think this will be on the Backlash card, more than likely. Hopefully we can get at least 6 matches on this card for Backlash. I mean, that would be appreciative. They got to figure out something, though, with these PLEs on ESPN. This shit with ESPN going a measly blocks and all that is really downright fucking disgusting, honestly. But what are we going to do? We ain't got control over that. That's more the business side of things. That's not the viewer side of things. So, I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully Backlash is figured out with the commercials and the wrestling quality, so both us and the corporate douchebags get what they want. So, following that, we had Logan Paul, Austin Theory, and Paul Heyman heading to the ring. Heyman then, he pretty much introduces himself as he usually does, and says last night was the moment that will live in his heart forever. Heyman criticizes CM Punk for putting over the production crew. Tonight in the WWE intro video, they kept the Beast in the now portion, which really pissed him off, and for some oddball reason, he started punching himself in the side of the head. And went off like a fucking raving lunatic. And said he's the baddest mother effer walking on the face of the earth. And that he belongs in the forever column because he's done the now and will live forever in the infamy of WWE. His name is Brock Lesnar, and the crowd chants, "Thank you, Brock." 100%. He has delivered great memories, great moments in professional wrestling. I liked his first run better than his second, but his second really had a lot of appeal and a great attraction. He just did not deliver the same kind of quality matches he delivered in his first run before his tickleitis situation took place. So, it is what it is. But, what are you going to do? Anyway, Lone Wolf, he went ahead and he left a comment. I've seen your comment. I was just trying to get a little bit ahead in this review, but sounds like Backlash will have a better PLE card than Mania this year so far. To be fair, 2026 was not a good year for the company so far, so I'm hoping that this might be able to fix it for now. I'd say, yeah, this is probably the best start towards a build to a PLE, and yes, I'd have to say PLEs this year have been the absolute drizzling shits. Worse than last year's, honestly. And I don't know how you can get worse, but they somehow figure it out. I don't know why you want to go backwards. They used to figure out how to do better than what they did the week before. And they used to do good pay-per-views and do better on the next pay-per-view. And keep excelling and keep building layers upon layers of success. But apparently WWE has lost the ability to do that, or lost the plot, whatever way you want to put it. But personally, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of WWE right now. Multiple times I've said I'm going to quit watching this shit, but I just can't help myself. Call it an addiction, I guess you could say. An addiction of torture towards pro wrestling, because AEW ain't doing any better than WWE. As much as they give us great pro wrestling, they can't tell a story to save their fucking life. They give us average to below average storytelling of anything. And then they booked that terrible situation this past Wednesday with Darby Allin and MJF in a squash match. So go figure that one out on their side, because I'm not quite getting it. Doesn't make a whole lot of fucking sense to me. But it is what it is. Anyway, moving on. So anyway, Heyman wants to talk about the now, though. WWE's experienced a resurgence of the tag team division thanks to Austin Theory and Logan Paul. I don't know where Paul Heyman's coming up with that statement, but okay. He must have been smoking a little too much of the crack. Because that ain't from smoking weed, folks. That's definitely smoking crack. Heyman says there will now be a personal message from Logan Paul. The crowd loudly boos Paul, and Paul tries to speak, but the people boo him down. The only reason that the Usos and LA Knight stole the win from him and his brother is because of the ungrateful weasel I Show Speed. Paul says he is absolutely sick of these YouTubers and streamers thinking they can come into their business and do what they can do. Paul hates outsiders. Really? The kettle calling it black, huh? Sure. Alright. Anyway. So, nothing that happened at WrestleMania matters. I Show Speed left WrestleMania with a piece of Paul's fist in his face anyway, and they're still the tag team champions of the world. They pose with the titles in the ring. Heyman says it's only fitting that they all take a moment to realize what a magnificent favor Gunther did for him. Heyman thanks Gunther and realizes that he owes him one, so anytime Gunther is ready, he will be more than happy to oblige him with the favor he requires or asks for. The best assist of the weekend belongs to the man who cut Seth Rollins in half. Heyman welcomes Braun Breaker back to Monday Night Raw. Breaker heads to the ring. The crowd barks as he gets in the ring and embraces the Vision. Breaker says he was thinking today that it was 1 year ago that he became the leader of the Vision in this very arena because Seth Rollins was too weak. Breaker's favorite part of WrestleMania was watching Rollins get so close to beating Gunther, only for Breaker to ruin everything for Rollins. The crowd sings Rollins' theme song, and Breaker hopes Rollins is watching. From this day forward, he'll be coming after him. Then out comes Seth Rollins from behind, smacks him with a steel chair. Breaker immediately grabs the back of his head and gets out of the ring. There's actually blood that was trickling from the back of his neck, or the back of his skull. So he actually went ahead and was having some blood coming from the back of his skull. Very interesting how that occurred. Logan Paul and Austin Theory quickly double team Rollins, and Paul punches away at Rollins' midsection. The Street Profits make a return. We haven't seen the Street Profits in over a fucking year. This is crazy. Anyway. Comes out to make the save. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins attack Paul and Theory, sending them out of the ring, and Ford then hits the ropes and sticks the landing of a somersault senton on Paul and Theory, and the Street Profits brawl with them to the back. This was awesome scene. Then Breaker is gushing blood at ringside, and Breaker gets in the ring and charges, but Rollins super kicks him. And then Rollins punches away at him and goes for a stomp, but Breaker avoids it and spears him down. Breaker takes his shirt off and steps on Rollins' neck. Breaker rips Rollins' shirt off and says he never needed his sorry ass. The people will remember Rollins as a shell of what he used to be. And Breaker hits the ropes at a wild speed and hits a massive spear. Beautiful spear. The spear that we should have seen at WrestleMania on Saturday night. But that spear was pretty deadly, but it didn't hit the same way this one. This one hit flush right in his midsection. Then Breaker stands over Rollins, and that's how we go off the air from that segment onto the next with a video package from JD McDonough responding to Finn Balor. JD says he and Finn Balor were supposed to be family. Balor changed so much that he barely recognizes him. Balor takes his cues from CM Punk. McDonough took bullets for Balor for 20 years. Balor cost them the gold, and people have asked how he could throw away 20 years, but it was easy. He did it again. After all this time, he'll step out of Balor's shadow and show the world what he knows. The Finn Balor we loved is dead. Nice promo. Good work. Probably the best we've seen from JD McDonough on the main roster. And he loses this matchup. Did not like this at all. But I get why. Why would you make him lose when he just came off of a big victory here? So I'm not quite sure how you go with that. But he wins with the coup de grace for the win, and that's that. Then Dominic Mysterio attacks Balor from behind, clubbing away at him. Balor avoids a 619 by hitting a clothesline. And then Balor hits Mysterio with a shotgun dropkick, and Balor heads to the top rope, but McDonough pulls Mysterio out of the way to avoid the coup de grace. And that was the end of that segment. Then we move on to Jackie Redmond backstage interviewing Gunther. Gunther says he feels fantastic about... Fantastic because he proved everything he said about Seth Rollins heading into WrestleMania. She asks if he's aware of Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar's influence. Gunther says Heyman owes him a big favor. People should get comfortable seeing the World Heavyweight Championship around his waist very soon. So we might see a Gunther versus Roman Reigns match. Would I be against this? Not entirely, but then again, I don't know. I'd like to see possibly Obafemi winning the World Heavyweight Championship for Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. That would be very interesting to see Obafemi already crowned as world champion within the same year that he retired Brock Lesnar. Just my thoughts on that. Anyway, LA Knight walks up from one WrestleMania winner to another. He congratulates him. Knight says, Gunther beat Seth Rollins, but he's not the only one with eyes on that title. One of the WrestleMania winners needed a 3-on-1 advantage to win, and that's Gunther. Knight should be next in line. Gunther is not pleased by the comments that were made. Anyway, we have a backstage segment though with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are sadly standing together. It's not a goodbye forever. Ripley will be the champion on SmackDown, and Sky will hold it down in Monday Night Raw. They embrace. Ripley walks off and passes Liv Morgan. Morgan says, "I guess I'll see you around." Ripley says, "I'm looking forward to it." Interesting. Don't know how that works, but alrighty. Anyway, next we have Roman Reigns showing up. Nice and late for work, huh, pal? Guess apparently you're going to show up, but you're not going to actually show up on time. So anyway, Roman Reigns comes out to a big ovation. The OTC heads into the T-Mobile Arena. Reigns walks through the backstage area and hears people singing his name. Reigns heads down the tunnel to the gorilla position. The Usos are waiting for him. Jay and Jimmy embrace their cousin, and Reigns invites them out with him. So, Roman didn't have too much to say, just asked the fans to acknowledge him. He talked to his cousins and told them, I'm not asking you to serve me, I'm asking you to stand by me and be together as one instead of being separated. He has a ton of respect for both of them. I'd love to see a story for Jimmy Uso, possibly going after a mid-card championship, maybe even trying to have some balls and go after the world championship from Roman Reigns. I mean, we already got Jacob Fatu doing it. Maybe we can go with Jimmy. Who the fuck knows? Doubt it, though, because it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense based on what I just said. So, forget that, but it's just wishful thinking. Then all of a sudden, out of fucking nowhere, Jacob Fatu shows up. And he says, Roman asks him, do you come out here to acknowledge your tribal chief? And Jacob Fatu looks at him and says, nah, I don't acknowledge you as my tribal chief. Roman's stunned. His eyes kind of widen a little bit. He's kind of like surprised by the comment. And he says, no, I want what's on your shoulder. I want what's the sneaker brands you got. I want the money. I want an upgraded house for my family. I want more cars. I want more food on the table for my family. Just like you do, Roman. And that's pretty much what he had to say. Jacob Fatu says, I'm going to go ahead and face you one-on-one at Backlash. All pedal, all gas, no brakes. And does his catchphrase, all that shit. And Roman says, you know what? I think you might want to think about this for another week. So I'm going to give you until Monday. Next Monday. And then we'll discuss this at another time. We pretty much get the conclusion of that. And then when this all comes down to the end, Roman's looking at the Usos and saying, you better talk to Jacob Fatu. Ahead and going back to reverting to the original tribal chief we used to know. He doesn't seem like he's playing a full-blown heel here. Doesn't seem like he's playing anything, really. He just seems like a straightforward kind of guy. It doesn't seem like he wants to dictate or run anything. But, I mean, he is, like, telling his cousins to talk to Jacob Fatu, talk some sense into him, and whatnot to change his mind. And that's pretty much the end of the show. And that's how the show goes off the air. I thought this was a good show. I really do. I didn't have any gripes or issues with it. I thought it was fun. It was very enjoyable. And I gotta say, I had a fucking blast with this show. This was probably by far one of the best Raws of 2026 so far. Maybe another Raw episode might be better, but I doubt it. Um, but yeah, that was pretty much Monday Night Raw in a nutshell. If you guys enjoyed the live review, I appreciate all you for whoever hit the like button. I appreciate that. So go ahead, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. If you didn't catch it live, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great night, guys.